Hello YouTubes, this is Grimweird coming back at you with more Enigmatica 2 Expert Mode playthrough action for Minecraft 1.12.2. I'm taking a break from crafting because I'm getting a little burned out on standing in front of my autocrafter all day. So I thought I'd fly around with my scanner, see if I found any structures, look for a dragon on the surface to scan that might then help us to find a dragon underground. Usually the ones on top of the ground are stage 1, 2, or 3, whereas there are bigger, badder, nastier ones, 4 and 5 underground, and the underground stage 4 and 5 ones can drop eggs, which allow you to raise your own dragon. So that might be sort of fun. So I was out cruising around and I saw a chart area and I thought, oh cool, this might be one. And it's sort of cool, I haven't seen this before. So instead of gold and chests, there are actual pieces of ore around here. I shot a spider, but I have not seen a dragon. So I'm not sure what's going on. But I wanted to just check in and show you that this is sort of a one that I hadn't seen before. And I'm going to pause this unless the dragon shows up and continue scouting around. And when I get something interesting, or when I get back to working on our nuclear reactor, I will start filming again. Okay, so here appears to be a dragon, and I don't know if it's asleep or what, but I'm going to attempt to get my scanner card out for entities and see if I can right click on it to set the card to fire dragons. Configured entity fire dragon. Neat. And that must be the one that belongs to that over there, and it's just chilling and sleeping. I'm not sure we can let that happen. We might just have to kill its ass. I'm going to leave it there. I've marked this area, and I've marked that thing, and now if I decide I need a live dragon for anything, I can come back and get it then. It's not like we need to kill it so we can rifle through its loot. So, mission accomplished. I have also been scanning for... This is actually what I thought more likely I would find would be a dead one like this. But when you mouse over them, they still show as being a fire dragon with 20 health left over, even when they're apparently dead. So that's actually what I was sort of thinking I would find and be able to scan. I didn't actually think I'd be able to find a sleeping dragon. But hey. So I have been occasionally scanning for structures. And, okay, so there's one, a temple. I'm just trying to figure out what it will pick up. Basically, I've seen only 3 labels: temple, mineshaft, and village. The mineshaft are definitely those ones with the railways in it and the cave spiders. I'm not picking up any kind of... there's tons of extra buildings that I think are specific, like for instance those gears, terracotta gears. There's all sorts of probably what I assume are biomes of plenty type things. That it's not picking those up, those structures up. I haven't seen it pick up any kind of, weird dungeons or anything. So I'm not 100% sure how useful the structures scanner is, because I'm not sure what all it would catch. I'm also not sure if it's a chunk radius or a distance. So in other words, if I am... There's a temple and a village and a mine shaft. So I'm not sure, but it's not picking up whatever this is. I'm going to go in there. Nah. So I'm not sure how useful this bad boy is. For structures. But I'll continue to look around and see if I can see anything. And lots of these dead dragons. These only usually have bones. If you need hearts, though, like for instance, I've got to build something right now. I think it's the quantum entangloper. And it requires dragon hearts. And you can, I think, get hearts and bones and skulls off of those dead ones. Oh my god, I recognize this area. This is the first shelter I took for sleep. So this is the mesa where we first washed up ashore from the dreaded Hamster Island in episode 0 or episode 1 and 2. This is the slime island that I was trying to get up to when I got my first death. I was about 40-50 blocks up on a jumping up on a cobblestone pyre when one of these bad boys jumped off, a slime jumped off, kamikazed me, and knocked me off of my thing, so I fell to my death. Funny. That means that this over here was the first village that we raided. Seems so long ago now. This is the one with the cockatrice in it. I think I've since been back and killed the cockatrice. There was actually 2 of them here and then a third one in the desert to the south. But the one here got sort of trapped in a building. It got sort of trapped somewhere, I think back in this area, back in the cattle pen. I think it fell in there and got trapped. And I later came back and shot it with a laser gun. Good times, good times. This is the building where I found some sort of wand that shot lightning bolts, and I was trying to figure out what it did and actually burned down half the building and almost myself. Anyway, enough reminiscing. I accomplished the 2 goals that I came out here for, which was to check out the using the scanner for structures, and then also to see if I could get a fire dragon entity on a card for the scanner entity card. Let me go ahead and swap that bad boy in. And see if we see anything. What I'm hoping to find, but I don't know if I will, is something lighting up underground that might tell me there's some sort of stage 4 or stage 5 dragon in a cave underground somewhere. Anywho, this is probably boring, so I am going to stop recording now, and I'm just going to fly around a bit longer and then have some dinner, and then we'll come back and take the next step on our nuclear reactor. Try and get that bad boy up and running, or at least get it close. I think it'll be easier to see if I'm underground, so what I might do with these is when I see a ravine like this, what perfect timing. I will fly down in, I will grab some free crystals, and I will scan down here. but I am not seeing nothing. Other than free crystals. Alright, well, back to the drawing board. So I'm going to do a bit more of this since I've only got about 10 minutes before I need to go do something else. And then we will come back and work on our fusion reactor. So I did check out for a while there. I was shooting. Oh, let's see if this guy registers. Hey, fire dragon. That is excellent. So now I know it works. Now I just got to go down into ravines and whatnot and hit that and look for the little exclamation point. That is excellent. Now I know what it looks like. Alright, so mission accomplished and accomplished. We will find a dragon, we will get a dragon egg, and we will hatch a dragon. That seems like an expert kind of thing to do. I'm not really digging the range, because that guy's not showing up, is he? Oh, he is. Alright, I'm just not really sure about the range. Again, if it goes by meters, I could be missing it flying around too high. And if it goes by chunks, then I could be finding stuff way below me. So we'll just have to see. I'm having a feeling that it's a meters kind of thing, and that I will need to do some exploration underground. The other thing I can do is take this over to Twilight Forest and try it over there, see if anything interesting comes up. I don't know if Scannable and Twilight Forest are connected through some sort of dictionary, but that could be cool. Alright, anyway, I'm burning daylight. I will pause here, and then we'll work some more on our fusion reactor. Bye for now. Alright, so I am back at the base, and I am pondering fusion cooling. I did make some active fluid coolers just so I'd have some on hand. In case we need them fast. I think it takes a while for these things to spool up, so we probably have plenty of time to adjust our plans as necessary, but at least I have a few and I've taught my system how to autocraft them. So in looking at this bad boy, if I hit U, check it out. So water only does 100 Kelvin per tick. That's pretty anemic compared to all this other stuff like destabilized redstone is 6400, 6000 for quartz, 9600 for gold, etc., etc. Gelid cryothium 12,800 Kelvin per tick. But what I noticed here, so I know a lot of people use deuterium and tritium, but I wasn't 100% sure why. And what I'm noticing here is two things. One, liquid helium has a pretty excellent cooling rate. So liquid helium can be made from supercooling helium, and helium comes from fusion reactions. So you can get a case where your fusion reaction is producing helium. You feed that into a supercooler, feed the supercooled liquid helium into your coolers, and you have a self-sustaining system. So getting helium out of your fusion reactor makes life easier for keeping it cooled. The second thing is that we're looking for here, other than power, is neutron fluid. So if we look at the uses of neutron fluid, you can transpose it into titanium or iridium alloy, get neutronium ingots, which are then used for things. Things that I don't know much about, mystical aggreditions and astral sorcery for making neutronium seeds and making infinity catalyst and making infinity ingots. That's like, way in game. I think that is the end games type stuff. So it looks like you might need some of that junk, and you get it faster with. So if we look at something that says, okay, what's going to give us good neutron fluid and helium coming out? Well, when you look at that, one thing that pops up is tritium or liquid tritium with deuterium or liquid deuterium. So that, I think, is why people are using this bad boy. And if we mouse over it, we can see that its max power is 576 K per kilo RF per tick. Pardon me while I cough. But the combo lifetime is only 104 ticks. So I think it sort of burns fast, but it burns, lots of power. And it provides helium, which can be supercooled to liquid helium to provide its own cooling source, and gives you a decent amount of neutron fluid. So where I'm going with all this is that is the only one where I see that you might be able to simply just use the output of the fusion reactor to cool the fusion reactor. All the rest of these take fiddling, and possibly then, if you're not paying attention or don't have some sort of fail-safes in place, you might actually lose your cooling. So for instance, gelid cryothium, easy peasy, I can do that. I could, pardon me, I got a cough again. I could set up my powered Blizz spawner. I could suck out all of the Blizz rods that they drop, and they're going to drop them way faster than I can ever burn through stuff. I can then use the Blitz powder, combined with snowballs, which they also drop faster than I'm ever going to use them up. So the only thing that I really have to watch out for is that I got to make sure I supply redstone to that system. And if I ever forget or do not supply redstone to that system, my supercooling will turn off. I think the supercoolants last a long time, so it might not be a big deal, but it's something I'd have to watch for. So that's sort of where my thoughts are here. And it's the same with the rest of those things. If we looked at the rest of them, whether you're using molten iron or resonant ender or any other thing. Well, now wait a minute. Resonant ender. That could be the answer. Let's back this up a second. That's why it's good to talk this through with you guys, because I find myself saying something and then go, wait a minute, that didn't sound right coming out of my mouth. So the nice thing about Resonant Ender is that is simply melted ender pearls. I can already attest to the fact that my powered Enderman spawner creates vast amounts of ender pearls, and I wouldn't have to do anything to them other than melt them. and I'm sure I would create them far faster than I could ever need coolant for them. So if we take a look, what am I doing here? Inventory. So Ender. So I've got 13,000 Ender pearls on me, and another 3,900 Ender blocks. So yeah, I can make Ender pearls and melt them way faster than I can ever need them for coolant. So we have a new plan. What we'll do is we'll set up our powered Enderman spawner, and we will make it as slow as possible. So let me see how. In fact, we might even limit it on power just so that we're not making stupid amounts of it. And we might have to divert things to the trash just so that we aren't blowing up our ME system. But let's see. So we will set up the powered spawner. We will trash Enderman heads and trash Enderman trophies. We will maybe send the Ender pearls into a drawer and then trash any overflow. We can then suck out of the drawer into a magma crucible and burn it and put that into some Ender tanks and hook the Ender tanks up to banks of active coolers. Okay, we got a plan. This is all sounding good to me. So, I'm not sure what the runtime is. I sort of blathered around about my scanner for a bit too long, and I don't have a lot of time to go back and edit videos for brevity, so I apologize. But yeah, I'm going to go set up. Let's head over here. I sort of like keeping this all together, even though I know I can use things like quantum and Tangaloper and Ender chests and Ender tanks to move things around. I do sort of like keeping things together. So I might make another little room off of here, right about in here somewhere, and set up my powered Enderman spawner and a way to sort of keep a good supply of liquid Resonant Ender that we could Ender chest up into banks of. So these guys, these active fluid coolers, you put them either along this edge here. If we look at this, it would be this this corner here in between this coil and that coil, or you put them here, or in any of the nooks and crannies here. And then if you put them, like if I put one right here, so this is dead center top inside, then I'd want to put it on the opposite thing, which would be down here, dead center bottom inside. So we can set up banks of these bad boys. We'll have a bank on one side with an Ender chest pumping into them, probably going from that room. We'll make a pair of Ender chests, one with Resonant Ender coming into it, and then two with Resonant Enders coming out of it, feeding banks of active coolers on either side here. We have a plan. I like that plan. It's a good plan. I think it's going to work. I have full faith in this plan. So I'm going to work on that a bit after I do some more chores around the house, and we'll see if I have any runtime left, and see what we can do about doing that. I definitely want to have a plan and a structure in place to cool it before I turn it on, because who the hell wants to turn on a nuclear reactor without a plan for how you're going to manage the nuclear reactor? Color me crazy, but yeah. So I will be back in a moment. Okay, I am back. So I think I have a plan, and let me show you its features. So here we have the Resonant Ender cooling liquid supply room. We've got some lovely purple carpet stolen from the Jam Guy villager and then chiseled into the purple carpet with ender eyes. We've got ender pearl running boards to make the soon-to-be slaughtered enderman feel at home. Around the corner we have a industrial foregoing mob crusher with a um, +4 add-on, showing the range that it'll cover the whole room. Just to double check that, this is ineffable glass, so one-way glass, so I'm going to be able to jump through, but they can't jump out. Yeah, so unless they're, yeah, I think that should be just fine. The powered spawner is going to go on that pedestal. Let's turn off the show working area. So what we're going to do is the mob crusher will instantly do like 300 points of damage and kill any mobs in there. So they should die before they even get a chance to teleport or anything. I've never had one escape when I was running my monster farm. All of their items get loaded into here. It also creates fluid essence, so basically liquid experience. We're just going to let that fill up and ignore it. It doesn't stop running if the tank gets full. So the items are going to be pumped out. We are interested in two things, I think. So I've got, if we open this bad boy up, we're going to be extracting, let's see, we want that always active, right? Okay. So we're going to extract everything and into the magma crucible. I don't think there is anything but ender pearls that will come out of there that will even go into a magma crucible, but basic item filters are so cheap that I decided to just make sure that, I'm not going to gum up my works with anything else. So we are whitelisting ender pearls to go into the magma crucible. It is set to intake from that side and output to the left. On the left we have an ender tank with a magenta on it, and I threw one ender pearl in there just to see if it would work, and it does export to there, so it doesn't look like we need to put in a fluid pipe or anything. Underneath there we've got one of our output power cells, and I'm going to hopefully get into Flux Network soon so I can come back and reclaim power cells and put flux plugs and or points or whatever on things. So that's going to take care of the ender pearls. There's also other things that come out of there. There's going to be ender trophies and enderman heads and possibly God knows what else. The only other thing that I was sort of interested in collecting was dimlet parcels. On the off chance that I do get around to building some dimensions, it's good to have a ton of dimlet parcels. So we have got, the other thing I should mention is that this is priority 1 to make sure that it takes the ender pearls. This is priority 1 with a whitelist for dimlet parcels, which just holds all the little bits and pieces that you use for building your custom dimensions if we ever get that open in this mod pack. It's not a priority, but I do like playing with that. And then over here we want that on insert, and we're going to priority 0, so lower priority. So basically any ender pearls that don't go in there and any dimlet parcels that don't go in there, we are going to send to the trash can. We do not need more enderman heads. We do not need more enderman trophies, yada yada yada. So I believe that should all work. Unfortunately, my powered spawner has power, so this could get ugly. We will soon be looking at a whole bunch of Endermen, but I'm going to... Hopefully this thing will kill them so fast it won't even matter. So one of the things I want to do is I do not need fast speed. Fortunately, it was mid-progress because when I first went to set this down, something, a bunch spawned on me. So I'm going to take out the fancy capacitor that I had in here and put in a basic capacitor. I'm going to just let this thing go, which is sort of wasteful. Probably what I will do in the long term is... So I'm just going to do proof of concept right now, and then I'll jump in here and turn off the powered spawner, and then what I will do is if I decide to keep this going, if I decide I need this cooling, which I probably will, I will maybe set up an XNet network, and I'll throttle the power coming into the Enderman spawner so that it only spawns every once in a great while, and that way we'll have a trickle of Ender pearls going into the magma crucible without having, wasting a lot of energy. So that's probably how I'll manage this long term. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and do this. This will start cooking up again, probably, maybe not. Always active. It don't look active. Did it run itself out of power? Yes, it did. That's actually handy because I didn't want to deal with it. So we're going to throw down another power cell here. Oops, that's not where I want it. Alright, I'm going to throw down a block to stand on. There, fine. Get a stepping stool. Oh, and I sent my power cell back to my ME network, but I have more. So we're going to plop that down, make sure it's all out. Gonna get rid of this. Gonna hop out. But yeah, the mob crusher kicks him fast. Alright, so I heard this chugging. We're going to open it up and watch for one more spawn. Make sure everything looks cool. So there goes a few ender pearls. And we're now up to 2,250 Resonant Ender in the ender tank. I might watch another spawn or two. Dimlet parcels aren't that. We'll see now. That is not right. I did not whitelist bat wings. I guess that could be coming from somewhere else. Because these don't drop bat wings. I wonder where I'm getting bat wings from into my ender chest. I'll have to track that down. Alright, so I'm going to assume everything's working. Yeah, I'm not getting anything clogged up here. So let's just watch this here. Double check. We'll get one more spawn in there. See if a head comes, and if that head disappears. So I got Infernium Essence, and that may have been something that can go in there. I don't know if you can melt that or not, but it's not going there, so it's going in the trash can. Let me just make sure I don't want to try and keep that. I have a ton of them, but I'm not 100% sure. So you can melt it, so I'm sort of glad I'm not putting that through my magma crucible. When in doubt, whitelist. That's my motto. I'm not going to worry about this now. if I need it, I can get tons of it. And I've already got thousands and thousands of it, so I should be fine. We're up to 4,500. Um, so yeah, we're in business. So now you're asking, what am I doing with that? So what I've done is I've also made 2 more magenta white ender tanks. And what I will do is I will put them out here. Like, let's say that I decide to put a row of um, active coolers on this ledge here. Let's say I put 5 of them down. Then I could put one of the magenta white tanks full of resonant and pipe it to those 5. And then to get maximum efficiency, I'd be putting the other 5 on this ledge, boom, 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 and I'll have the 3rd tank here supplying these 5. And we should be in business. So now we got fuel and we got coolant, and next time I promise we will try to turn it on, I think, maybe, unless I think of something else. Oh, and I did want to talk briefly about, so I noticed a lot of people are using deuterium, tritium, and if we look at, this bad boy, I talked briefly about, the joys of that, in that you can, the 2 things you might want to get out that would be sort of helpful probably would be helium to supercool it and use that as its own coolant source. Pardon me, I got the hiccups. And then you don't have to do what I'm doing with Resonant Ender. So you could just feed this right out, supercool it, and feed it right back in as coolant. And it gives you, 2 chances of getting, or, 2 ways of getting the neutron fluid. So you're getting neutron fluid out for in-game crafting. And it's also 576,000 RF per tick. So why am I doing this one? It's less power. It's, I don't want helium. I don't want hydrogen. I'm just throwing it away. I am going to store up some tritium in case I need to do this later in the game. I'm getting less neutron fluid. But why am I doing this? Well, basically the real reason is I think to get decent amounts of tritium, I would have to build evaporation towers and go through the whole mechanism, brine, lithium, tritium, and then I've got to use the evaporation towers, use like solar power, and the tritium things. I forget what the name of of those critters are, but those machines use solar power, and I've got an underground base, and I just don't want to deal with all of that stuff. So I'd rather just get a trickle of tritium coming out of this bad boy, and we'll have a trickle of tritium coming out of this, and then heck, I might just throw together another smaller one here and run it deuterium and tritium cooled by helium just for getting extra neutron fluid. But anyway, I wanted to explain why I'm not using the more why I'm just using deuterium instead of deuterium tritium, even though that would probably be on the whole better. It just doesn't fit with my base and what I'm doing at the moment, and I don't care that much. And it gives me an excuse to do this. And this is sort of amusing. So yeah, all right. I think that's probably enough for one episode today. Like I said, we got fuel, and we've got coolant, and I'm going to go ahead and leap through here. Let's see, we're up to 8,500 millibuckets. I'm going to leap through here and turn this bad boy off. Oops, this bad boy off. And what I'm going to do is probably we will steal these two power cells back when we go to power this bad boy up. That's why I have so many power cells on me. I grabbed the ones in the base. So I got 1, 2, and those two will be 4. So I can slap them, one on each side and propagate power through the ring and power all of these fusion electromagnets. And then we can take just one of them and put it up against the base here and try and heat up the core enough for ignition. So that's the plan for tomorrow. I was going to try and do that today, but then I was playing with my scanner, and like I said, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to power up my fusion reactor without having a plan for how I'm going to cool it. And now I got a plan, so I feel so much better. I always feel better when I have a plan. Alrighty, well, that's it for this episode, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye.